Hi everybody. This video will talk about how we're going to do our art project for this week, which is creating a pot or a vase as if it were from Greece. In front of me I have a map of ancient Greece, and in the weeks ahead we'll be talking a little bit more about the ancient Greek culture, but I wanted to show you about a little bit about the geography of ancient Greece, and you can see that it is all surrounded on three sides by water, which means Greece did not have a lot of farmland to create lots of farms, which meant that they had to rely heavily on trading with some of the other cultures around it in order to get some of the resources that they needed. And so one of the things that was very important to them was to be able to transport safely the resources that they could make in Greece. One of the things that they relied heavily on was olive oil. So the Greeks would make terracotta or clay pots, and then they would take these pots and transport olive oil or wine to other areas, because they would be able to cross these oceans or these seas to trade with other cultures. So the Greeks developed many different types of pots. They're different shapes. Here's a form that can show that to you. You can see that some of them were very large, whereas some of the other ones were narrower and maybe even had a spout on it in order to pour either wine or oil or something like that. Most all of them, though, had some common characteristics. They had a lip, they had a neck, some of them had handles, they had a shoulder, they had a body, and a foot, which was a large base so that the pot wouldn't tip over and break. This is an illustration of how the pots may have been stacked. They might have been filled with olive oil or wine or something that they were going to trade. And this is how they probably would have been seen on one of the boats that the Greeks would have sailed in order to trade with some neighboring countries. But the Greeks didn't just leave the pots looking like this, they also started to decorate them. And they decorated them from stories from their mythology. So they would decorate them with gods or goddesses, or maybe scenes from daily life. Here's an example of a pot. This is a spout, has a spout, so it would be a vessel that would be pouring something. And you can see that they know that this one has a picture of Athena on it. It says Athena here in Greek. This is an example of one of their pots. Here's another one where you have a large pot, and they have, you can see in the center, there's a centaur here. There's a centaur that might be like Chiron or something like that from Percy Jackson. The Greeks also relied heavily on geometric designs, much like the Egyptians. They would see these types of borders or patterns all across the Greek vases. Here's some other examples, some other Greek patterns that they may have made, along with some designs that you could find here. This one I want you to notice is noteworthy because that one is probably a monster. It's not a guy with a beard. That could be Medusa, or maybe one of the harpies, or the kindly ones. So today we're going to make our own Greek vase, and we're going to use the story that we're reading, Percy Jackson, as our inspiration. So what we'll need is, you'll need a pair of scissors, you'll need a marker, black marker, and you'll just need a sheet of paper. Okay, some of the optional things that you may need will be either brown, orange, and yellow crayons, or pastels if you have them, one of those. Now, let me show you some of the examples that I made. One of the things that we can do is that we made some vases that look like this. Okay, and so what I did is that I just used some of the pastels to color in the vase: brown, orange, and yellow. Here is another one. This is another different types of vase about Annabeth. This again has the pastel on it. This is Annabeth after they capture the flag battle or game. This one actually was colored in with some crayons. I had the brown, the orange, and the yellow crayon here, and I put Grover there. Some of the details, that white detail that I had in Grover's face, was done with a white gel pen, if you want to use those. But if you don't have any of the crayons or chalk to color it, you can still make a pot just fine using just the paper and your black pen. Here I just drew Percy's riptide, and I drew the Minotaur over here as well with the, uh, the black marker. Okay, so what you're going to do is that you're going to take your paper and you can fold it either the long way or the short way. If I fold it, let's say, the long way like this, what I'm going to do is make sure that the fold is going to be on the side where I'm going to cut. In other words, the fold needs to be here so that I can make my pattern. So I'm going to make the neck, the shoulder, the body, and then the foot. Okay? Now, do not cut on this side. Okay, in other words, when you're going to have your fold, you have to cut away on the opposite side of the fold, because if you don't, you're just going to have two sheets of paper and it's not going to work. So after I cut this out, I'll open this up and I'll be able to make my design. Okay? And the designs can either be something inspired from Percy Jackson, whether it's Percy fighting the Minotaur, whether it's Annabeth, a character, it's Zeus, it could be a symbol. It's your choice and you be creative with it. But what you do is that you make your design first in your pencil. I'm going to use the pen just to show you. I might want to make this my border, and I might want to color that black. Maybe I'd like a border across the top, like the ones you saw in the dock. Maybe I'd like to make a trident for Poseidon. And of course, I'm just sketching this out very, very quickly, just so that you can see what you're going to be doing. But once you have your design and you transfer it with the ink, okay, you're either finished, or if you're not, what you would do is then come in with either your crayons or pastels and begin to shade the side. One side, the brown would be on this side, then the orange would be in the middle to kind of give the look of the pot, and then a highlight on the other side with some yellow. And then you would blend it either with your hand this way, if you're using chalk, or you would just blend it in with the crayons, have one color overlap the other color, so that you could then have your pot develop this way. And that's pretty much it. But the goal is for you to be inspired by the story that we're reading, Percy Jackson. Think about it, a scene that you may want to immortalize on a pot, very much like the Greeks had done in ancient times. Okay? When you're finished, be sure you take a picture and upload it so that we can share it on Google Classroom or Class Dojo. And I hope you enjoy this. Okay? Have fun, be creative, and I'll see you soon.